This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good evening everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us for the learning of Torah Hashem, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbach. Today's sponsor, anonymously, the Refuah Shalema for Chana Bas Elka. She should have the Refuah Shalema B'Seich Shachar Yisrael. We thank our anonymous sponsor, who's a very dear Talmud, for sponsoring the shir. We know at the tefillah that all those that have been touched by the dread machla, known as Yad Machla, other related diseases, should have a refuah shalem b'sech shachar Yisrael. All of us and our loved ones should always be healthy. Those that are awaiting their shidduch should find their shidduch quickly and easily. Those that are awaiting children should be blessed with zarachai v'kayama, healthy mommy, healthy baby, and we should have parnasa, v'revach, v'chavod, and lange gesundte zisa shalom bayis. Also, it's my first Rebbetzin Olah Shalom second Yortzeit, Thursday night, Friday. And we learned the Ilui Nishmas Miriam Liba Bas Reb Aaron, who, with her own hands, mailed out over 1 million of the tapes of these shiurim and several 100,000 CDs of this shiurim. And anybody who's been a subscriber of mine for several years, all the way back to the beginning, 35 years ago, has benefited from her in more ways than can be mentioned. She should have a lichtige Gan Eden, be a Melitz Yoshev for our family, for all of us and all of Klal Yisrael. I've told you before that I feel that this shir has a life of its own, and that I sit down to prepare, and either svarim come to my hand, or I work on something and it just doesn't go, and the shir moves in a different direction. I had started last night preparing for Parshas Vayigash, which is a very dramatic parsha and a very important parsha, but the shir moved in the direction of the events of the day. Today, at 12 a.m., is a secular New Year. The Abderov used to say that now we could say to people that from Hayoim, Tachel Shana Tovel Yisrael, that from today it should start a new year for Klal Yisrael. What does that mean? So the Frierdiker Talmud Rebbe explained what the Abderov meant. So the Abderov meant when we davened on Rosh Hashanah, it wasn't impressive enough. But when it comes to the secular New Year and Hashem looks at how the Goyim behave, in contrast to them, we're tzaddikim gedolim. We're incredibly righteous people. And therefore now, with that contrast, we could ask Hashem for a Shana Tova. To me, it's amazing that 90,000 people tomorrow in MetLife Stadium, Be'ezras Hashem, and over 20,000 people in Barclays, and more in hookups all over the world, will be saying the Siyam Hashas, where we say, Anu Ratzim V'heim Ratzim. We run and they run. Heim Ratzim L'be'er Shachas. They run to the pit. Do you know that it's estimated that tonight 1 billion people will watch the ball drop at Times Square? They say over 1 million revelers will come. 1 billion people will watch it. They're running to watch a ball drop. That's funny because, in the colloquial expression, you drop the ball is not a very good thing. Right? But they're coming to watch a ball drop. While we're running l'chaya olam haba. You have to know that there's a lot of things that people could use their time for. And there's even a lot of good things. But there's only one phrase Ashrei mi shabal lekan v'talmudai biyadai. Fortunate is he who comes to the next world with the Talmud in his hand. That's what it says. Ashrei mi shabal lekan v'talmudai biyadai. Talmud is the reason why we were created. And it says, Im lamadata Torah harba, al tachzik tov la'atzmecha, ki lekach noitzarta. Now, it's a lesson that we have to know, first of all, that which a billion people do is not necessarily proof that it's right. A billion people will watch the ball drop. The ball drop is absolutely worthless, although a billion people are doing it. It reminds me of what Rabbi Victor Miller said. Rabbi Victor Miller said a very interesting thing. He said that when millions of people started keeping Christianity, so people said, how could millions and millions and millions of people be wrong? So Hashem had millions of people worship Islam. One of them has to be wrong. So the fact that millions of people do it doesn't mean anything. Here we have a billion people. You have to know that we've seen a rash of horrific anti-Semitism. Horrific. From what happened in Pittsburgh to what happened in Jersey City. In Jersey City, gunned down a young man who worked with underprivileged children with cancer, a young mother. I mean, it's what happened in Forshey, in one of the nicest, warmest communities. So it is evoking a lot of raw response. And if you look at social media, which you probably shouldn't do, but if you do, I have to keep an eye on it, you'll see that there's two recommendations. Hurry up, sell everything, and get tickets to El Al, and move to Eretz Yisrael. Or every Jew at 22. Those are the two recommendations. Both are the natural reaction. Neither are a Torah response. The nation that's known as Hakel Kol Yaakov Vayadayim Yedei Esav, the nation that's known as Ein Koichan Shel Elu Ela Befeh, the nation that's known as Ela Barechev, Ela Vasusim, Vanachnu B'Shem Hashem Elokeinu Nazkir, doesn't solve its problems with the 22. Now, I'm not making a platform speech over here that it's wrong to have protection in the shuls. I'm not saying that at all. A Jew always has to do proper hishtadlus. A Jew always has to do proper hishtadlus. You certainly shouldn't let your children out alone, and shuls shouldn't be left open, and perhaps there should be patrol and armed guards. I'm not saying that. The idea of every Jew having a gun, we see enough fights between Jews to know that there would probably be a lot more deaths if that happens. Unfortunately, person to hold a gun has to have the right temperament, has to have the right shmira. I have a very level-headed Talmud, very level-headed, not what I would consider the wrong temperament. He used to carry a gun, and one night his married son arrived in the middle of the night in the mountains and couldn't get in and wanted to sleep. So he started breaking in. His father took out a gun and almost shot his own son. Arming everyone is certainly not the answer. However, Chazal tells us that a mitzvah, be'idnei, a mitzvah while you're doing it protects a person. Shaloi be'idnei, but when you're finished with it, it doesn't protect the person. But Torah, even shaloi be'idnei, minter, even not when you're doing it, affords protection. Torah is megan and matzlei, and it's kisris b'fnei aparonios. Torah is a very big protection. There's a lot of discussion about the Daf HaYomi. It's too fast. It's too superficial. I'm not going to remember it. I want to ask you a question. Would you say that the likes of Reb Chaim Ozer Gudzinski, the Chavetz Chaim, the Tzaddik Rebbe, and the great Reb Meir Shapiro himself, do you think that they didn't think of these things? I want to tell you something. There aren't many things that people commit to for such a long range. You know, you commit to your baseball team for the season. This is going to be the Mets season. You know, I'm going to go with the Islanders this year. You know. The Rebbeinu Shalom, through his great shliach, Reb Meir Shapiro, wanted to give us ability to say, Hashem, I want to commit to something for the next 7.5 years. I want you to give me a new lease on life for 7.5 years. That's a big thing. Ki chayim eim lemotza eyem. It is life for those that find it. Eitz chayim hi lamachazikim ba. The great Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, when he started that scholar in Madison Square Garden, he said it's a schooler to start. Because hamaschil b'mitzvah oimrim lo ligmar. If your person starts a mitzvah, there's a siyata d'shmaya that he should complete it. So here a person, he says, you know what, I'm going to learn now Masechtas Megillah. It's nice, it's wonderful. A person that says, I'm starting with Brachas Daf Beis and I'm committing to myself a daf a day for the next 7.5 years, you know what that person is doing? That person is saying to Hashem, Hashem, give me a reason to live healthy. Now, you can't get the flu. Because if you get the flu, you're going to be down for 5 days, at least. Can't get the flu, you have to learn the daf. So a person is asking Hashem that he should be healthy for the next 7.5 years. You know, when my Rebbetzin Aleh Shalom came down, Le'aleinu Rachmanu Litzlan, Le'aleinu, with pancreatic cancer, I took care of her for 2.5 years. Between those 2.5 years, I didn't miss the daf. Hashem gave me superhuman strength. Why? Because I committed myself to the daf. It's interesting that Rameh Shapiro, and this is something that everybody probably knows, but I'm going to repeat it anyway in the context of this year. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nהיה b'dvaro. When Rameh Shapiro introduced the daf, he introduced it with the famous Gemara that Rabbi Akiva was on a ship and the ship got lost at sea. And everybody was sure that Rabbi Akiva had drowned. They found him later on, a little while later, in the Beis HaMedrash teaching Torah. They asked him, how did you survive? So he said, Daf shel svina. I took a board of the boat fell apart, and I grabbed the hold of a boat, and every wave that came at me, Nanea es Roshi, I bent down my head, and I clung on to the daf. So Rameh Shapiro said, life is full of waves. Life is a storm. Life is a storm. And the daf Gemara helps us hold on and survive all the vicissitudes of life. So why doesn't everybody learn daf Yomi? I mean, it was the chose. Everybody has a mission to recover what they learned in their mother's womb. I've mentioned this before, that on the night of the Seder, we say, Tisha mi yodea, who knows 9? Tisha ani yodea, I know 9. I know 9. 9 are the months of gestation. It's the Tisha Yarcheleda. So there's a very obvious question. All of the items from 1 to 13 are all Jewish. We couldn't come up with a Jewish 9? I mean, it sounds even better. 9 is the Misper Cotton of Emes. Couldn't come up with a 9. 9 are the months of labor. And what? It's so on the same level as 4. 3 is the Tatas, and 4 is the Mamas, and 5 is the Chumash, and 6 is the Mishnah, and 7 is the Shabbos, and 8 is the Milah, and 9 is 9 months of nausea and hard breathing and vomiting. So the Chassam Sofer says, no, it refers to the Gemara Nida that says that during the 9 months of gestation, a baby is taught by a Malach Kala Torah Kula. And when he comes out, the Malach strikes him above the lip, and he forgets it, but he only forgets it consciously. But it's still there. Deep waters are the counsel in the heart of man. Ish savunos, and the man of understanding Yidlena will draw it out. So Rameh Shapiro said, it's not pshat that there is Ayin Yaakov people and Tilim Zagers and Chumash learners and people that only learned the second parak of Bava Metzia. Everybody was taught Shas, and therefore everybody could recover it. Now, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Shas is very big. Very big. You look at your Svarmshak, And you say, all those volumes? When am I going to Bava Basra alone? How am I going to learn all of Bava Basra? When am I going to learn such hard Masechta? It says, Oni Erev V'nida Yavamis. You know, Rav Avadia Yosef, who was a big champion of the Daf Yomi, he used to say, everybody wants brachas. Shabbos they want to do once a week. Erev they think is chutz l'tchum. And Pesachim is once a year. That's what he would say. But we all daven, we all ask on Yom Tov, Shabbos, V'sein chelkeinu b'seirasecha, give us our chelik in your Torah. I was in with my new Rebbetzin Shashi. I was in Eretz Yisrael this Sukkot time. I was invited to be a scholar in residence for Gateways. And she has her mother's parents are buried in Cholon. So we went to Cholon. They were very chashuva people. She's an anikel of the St. George Rebbe. And so we went, and it was very hard to find the kvarim. We eventually did. It was very hard. But we stumbled upon a grave that had on it a soccer ball. And this person's accomplishment in life was soccer. Or a friend once said that he stumbled upon maybe it was in Baltimore, I don't know, a section in a Beis HaKvaris where they had bowling pins on the grave, and there was this caption, "We live to bowl." Live to bowl. We want to be able to say that we live to learn. That should be our ambition. We want to be able to say, we live to learn. Because that's why we were created. We were created, it says in Lomanet Torah Haba, Al Tachzik Toiva La'atzmacha Ki Lekach Noitzorta. For this you were created. And there's a reason why the biggest gathering for Klal Yisrael, besides for the levaya of a Talmid Chacham Muflig, is in honor of learning. Because that's the Jewish pastime. Now, if that's what we're supposed to recover, and that's why we were created, why isn't it an obvious thing like motherhood and apple pie? With this, we have to understand a simple dynamic. And that dynamic is, the more important something is, the greater the Yetzer Hara is. That's why people could get along with everyone, but not with their parents. People could get along with everyone, but not with their spouse. Because the Yetzer Hara is selective, and he says, look, I'll let you get along with people, but not with your parents. Because Kibbutz V'Ain, that's one of the Ten Commandments. I'll let you get along with everyone, but not with your husband, not with your wife. Because that's the Shechina is telling you that. This is the great Yesod, that the more important something is, the greater is the resistance to it. And that's why the Erla Rav, Zatzal, said, we know that the Yetzer Hara, the Malach HaMavis, is called Samuel. Hasidim say Samkel. They don't even like to pronounce it. He says that Samuel is an acronym of Siyam Mesechta Ein Lasos. Siyam Mesechta Ein Lasis. That's what the Satan is going to try to stop us from doing. He says, you can do a lot of things. I don't care. Deliver packages for Tomchei Shabbos. Cross an old lady across the street. You can do a lot of things. But the buck stops here. I don't want you finishing Mesechtas. I don't want you learning. Because we're taught, Barasi Yetzahara, Barasi Torah Tavnullah. I created the Yetzahara, and I created the Torah as its antidote. So the Yetzirah does not want us to learn Torah. That's why so many people are not learning Torah. Especially Daf Yomi, because Daf Yomi is the root how we can make a plan to get to the next world with Shas. My good friend Dr. Puro, a very well-known gastroenterologist, who is also on the medical ethics board of Staten Island University Hospital, a very, very busy man, finished Shas with me one time. He made the statement, I asked myself, how many good 7.5 years do I have left? He told me, I don't want to wait to learn when my mind is not sharp. How many good 7.5 years do I have left? Now somebody will say, wait a second, just one second. I don't have the discipline to do it every day. It takes a discipline, it's going to be a pressure. So I want to tell you something that Rav Palm said. I said this Yesod several times in this share, but it's worth repeating it now. Because I can't begin to tell you what a big day this Sunday is. On Sunday, people can start Brachas Daf Beis and start a cruise. People pay a lot of money to go on Costa Rica. This is a cruise for 7.5 years that will change completely their eternity. This is a matter not of life and death. Life and death is small compared to that. You know, my Rebbetzin is noticing that I'm a little bit nervous. And she said, why are you so nervous? And she's right, I should be doing a Kazatzka. I'm going from Nida, which is the hardest Masechta, to Brachas, which is easy to prepare. Why are you so nervous? I told her, I'm nervous because I want to talk to as many people as I can to get them to come. I want to advertise as much as I can. I don't want to lose a person. Once Brachas is there, they're ready to wait for the next time, you know. Even after the first week, I missed it, I'll do it next time. You know, that's the way people are. No, we have a young man over here. He's still a young man, David Helfgott. He's a young man. David. He's he heard me announce on Country Yossi that I'm giving the daf. And he came and he finished Shas more than 2 times already. Because he heard me announce it on Country Yossi. If I didn't make that, we have a man that came to my shir for 30 years. Now he's already old. But his name is Mr. Weichbrad. He came to my shir almost every night for 30 years. You know how he found out about the shir? He saw it on a sign on a lamppost. Saw a sign on a lamppost. So first of all, I want to say over here, before I shouldn't, then people will say I didn't mention it. I'm restarting my Borough Park daf for Brachas Daf Beis at an earlier time. I'm still in Shana Rishayna. So I'm making for those in Staten Island and those in Jersey who want to come to the Staten Island shir, there's going to be Marv in Staten Island at 7:30. with the shir at 7:45. And then we're going to have Mariv around the corner from Shomer Shabbos. This is where I started over 30 years ago. At 1153 New Utrecht Avenue, under the tracks, around the corner from Shomer Shabbos. Rabbi Moshe Stern is the Rav there. I'm going to have Mariv at 9:15 and the shir at 9:30. And then there'll be another Mariv afterwards. For the immediate future, it's going to impact on this year. Because it used to be many years, I didn't say my daf on Tuesday. And I came here earlier, I just did the Staten Island daf. But I want to, in the beginning, be mechazik the daf there. So the shir over here is going to be pushed to 10:30. I'm going to give it from 10:30 to 11:20. So it's going to be, we'll try to have everything set up as soon as I fly in. And I hope everybody will be able to accommodate that. Afterwards, I will consider, after brachas, I'll consider again getting a pinch hitter for Tuesday. But it has to be a strong haskalah. But as I said, people say every day, and it is a big Kabbalah. It's a big Kabbalah. The people that come to my daf in Staten Island, they come out 3 hours after Shkia on Friday night to learn the daf. And then they get up at 3:15 Shabbos afternoon to come and learn the daf. It's not easy on a short Shabbos to come to a daf at 3:15. But this is the stuff of eternity. And there's no question about it that people live longer lives because of it. This is the meaning of Eirich Yomim B'Yamina. Now, I was about to tell you what Rav Pam said, and I want to elaborate on what Rav Pam said. Person says, I can't do it. I can't do it. Every day? A share once a week. But every day, an hour? Can't do it. Rav Pam says if you accept to do it, you're going to be given an amazing siyata d'shmaya. That's what it says. Habol l'tahar misayin oisay, and b'derech she'adam roitza l'leches malichin oisay. But I want to tell you what Rav Pam probably meant. You make an equation and say, what? I come home from work, I'm finished. No way. Oh, every night, no way. You know something? You're right. You're right. You're a rayat hanaylid. You can't do it. You're right. But you're not calculating with the siyata d'shmaya that you're going to get. With your power now, you can't do it. But with the additional siyata d'shmaya, you'll be able to do it. You're not calculating with your additional siyata d'shmaya. And I know it, I see it. I can testify. I have in my shir, I can mention his name, he told me he's not embarrassed, he's proud of it. I have a shir, a dentist. His name is Dr. Les Abrahams. He never went to Yeshiva Ketana. He never went to Yeshiva Gedayla. He became from later. He is now with this Siyam, finishing Shas the second time with me. This is a man that never learned anything when he was young. Anything. He bought himself an art scroll, and he said, I'm going to do this. I want to be a Talmudist. And the first time around, he said he had no idea with certain concepts. Remember, we were learning May Koraka Matfis and Mesechtes Nadarim, and he said it sounds like Greek to him. The second time around, it wasn't Greek anymore. But you'll say, yeah, Rabbi Weiss, I come to the shir and I get lost. I came to the shir tonight and you're talking about 7 days Nida, 8 days Ziva, in the night, in the day, Bein Hashmoshes, my head's spinning. So Rab Shimshon Pincus said that we have the pleasure of eternity. And anybody that learned to daf here and didn't understand it will gain entry to the Yeshiva Shalmaila for that daf. You know what Rab Miller says about the Mesilas Yesharim? The Mesilas Yesharim says that the Iker pleasure is lis'aneg meziv hashchina, to enjoy the pleasure of the Shechina. He says that 1 little second of pleasure of the Shechina would blow all our sensual circuits. We couldn't handle the pleasure. And the greatest reward is for Torah, because Talmud Torah keneged kulam. That's what we do when we embark on a plan to learn for 7.5 years. That's what we're doing. We're going to talk about making resolutions. I don't think it's coincidental that today is the secular New Year. Talk about resolutions. I do this all the time. I looked online to see what were the top New Year's resolutions. So this is the breakdown. 38% nationally, their top resolution was to lose weight and to exercise. 37% was to save money. 24% was travel. 12% was either to get a new job or a hobby. And 11% was to make new friends. 7% was to find love. And 3% miscellaneous. And this, my friends, is why we make a bracha every morning, Shalei Asani Goy. Because I just gave a shir on Zeis Chanukah, which we know is the final stop of our Yom Adin. It's the last chance after Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Hoshana Rabbah. The last stop is Zeis Chanukah. And I talked about our Kabbalahs. And what are our Kabbalahs? They're not based around me, myself, and I, like losing weight and saving money and traveling and a hobby and making friends. What are our Kabbalahs? Our Kabbalahs are to give more tzedakah, to be nicer to our spouse, more attentive to our children, more respectful to our parents and helpful, to learn Torah Hashem. Completely different. Completely different. And the daddy of all of them is Torah. I want to talk to you about certain things that are important in the activity of learning. Number one is that once we're learning, we should learn for the right reasons. It makes a huge difference. Rab Meir Omer kol aloymei Torah lishma zoicha l'dvar ma'arba. Rab Meir says whoever learns Torah lishma is zoicha to many things. What is Torah lishma? It's simple. The Ran says in Masechtas Nedarim there's a mitzvah sasei daraisa to learn Torah. That mitzvah sasei daraisa is v'dibarta bam. That's the way we should learn Torah. Before learning, I say, listen, I decided I could have been home and watching my favorite television show. I could have been home reading my favorite book. I could have been home playing a computer game. I could have been getting more sleep. I could have been lazing around. But you, Hashem, who is so good to me, said, V'dibarta bam. And that's what I'm doing. That's Torah Lishma. And Kol Aleimei Torah Lishma Zeichel Edvarim Arba. Oirech Yomi Miyamina Bismaila Yishevechavayid. It's a bonanza. It's another thing. You know, the best thing when you're learning is to review your learning. That's the best thing. You should come to a shir, and afterwards, even if it's very quickly, to try to review it. When you review it, say the words. It's a very important thing to say the words. You listen to a shir, you don't want to say the words because unless you could do it without disturbing anybody. But it says, Ki chayim heim l'moitzei, it's life to those that find it. And the Gemara in Eruvin says, Al tikrei l'moitzei. We welcome the Marid Asra and thank him for the wonderful shul for the shir. Ki chayim heim l'moitzei, al tikrei l'moitzei, el l'motziei befeh. To those that say the words. Another thing that's important. You know that at the end of a Masechta, and now at the end of Shas, we say, Hadron Aloch. We say it 3 times. Hadron Aloch, Kol Talmud Bavli. People that say you shouldn't say Hadron Aloch Shas. It's not accurate. Shas is Shisha Sedar. When we are celebrating the Daf Yomi, we didn't learn all Shisha Sedar. Right? Shisha Sedarim is all the Zeraim, the Mishnayos, Kloyim, Ma'aseh Trumas. We don't learn that in the Daf Yomi. We don't learn in the Daf Yomi Masechtas Idyas. And we don't learn all the Masechtas and Tires. So more accurate is, that's why it's not so accurate to say that we're going to the Siyam HaShas. It's not the Siyam HaShas. It's not Shisha Sedarim. We're going for Siyam Talmud Bavli. That's why if you want to finish Shas, you also have to listen to Mishnah Yomis. And you can do that too. 906-6471, 718-906-6471. You can listen to Mishnah Yomis. But otherwise, it's not a Siyam HaShas. But we say Hadron Allah. We'll return to you. And we say it 3 times. You know why we say it 3 times? Because in order to remember something, you have to learn it 4 times. That's why when we mava sedra, we mava shnayim mikra ve'echad tag. We say 2 times the chumash, once the tagim, and then we hear it in shul. So that's 4 times. If you look at your Gemara, you open up a Gemara Brachas, you'll see that Rashi sticks out for 4 lines and Taisvus sticks out for 4 lines. On every page. Every page there's that setup. Rashi sticks out 4 lines and Taisvus sticks out 4 lines, and then it becomes narrow. You know why that is? It's a reminder that we should learn everything 4 times. That's why we say Hadron Alach 3 times. We learned it once, and Hadron Alach. So there's an interesting question that was asked to me by the River Voice Ephraim, one of the great Talmidim of Moshe, Rabbi Ephraim Greenblatt. When we say Hadron Alach, why don't we say B'li Neder? It's a commitment, we'll return. We're going to say tomorrow, Hanulach Talmud Bavli, Hanulach Talmud Bavli, we're going to do it that's another almost 23 years. It's Hashem, we should all be gazon. But shouldn't we say B'li Neder? So I found the kasha today. I'll tell you my answer afterwards. Let me first tell you the answer of the Gdolei Yisrael. I found the kasha today in Rav Shmuel Dov, my Talmud, Rav Shmuel Dov Freeman's Sefer B'didi Aviyumda. I should call it my Talmud. He's a guy and he's Ibig Gesteigen. But at one time he was my Talmud. Now he could be my Rebbe. But in his Sefer B'didi Aviyumda, he quotes that Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach asked the question. Excuse me, this was not in his sefer. Excuse me, but in the sefer Oitzi Yedid, he brings down Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld both asked the question. And they say that the reason why we don't say B'li Neder is because we're not making it as a Neder, and it's covered by the Moidah that we make when we do Hataras Neder and ever Rosh Hashanah. So we say, Yinei Moiser Moidah, that what I say I don't have in mind as a Neder, it's covered with that Moidah. That's their answer. Lanias Daiti, I'd like to offer a different answer. Hadran Aloch is not a commitment. It's a tefillah. Hadran Aloch, we should be able to return to you. It's a tefillah. And Haraya, the rest of it is a tefillah. When we say that Yiratzim U'Fanecha Hashem Elokeinu V'Lekeinu V'Yiseinu, that we should be zeicha to learn more Masechtas and Svarim U'Lolamdam Lilmay L'Lamed, that's a tefillah. So the Hadran Aloch is also a tefillah. We ask Hashem, please, we should be zeicha. I want to return to you. There's something very special about the learning of Masechtas Brachas. You see, we know that there's a Gemara in Masechtas Shabbos. Gemara in Masechtas Shabbos says that a person is going to be asked certain questions. He's going to be asked certain questions. Asid Lava. He's going to be asked, Nasata v'Nasata be'emunah. Did you do business faithfully? Then he's going to be asked, Kavata itim la Torah. Did you fix time for Torah? And by the way, Rav Matisyahu Solomon, when he spoke about the Siyam, Rav Matisyahu Solomon said, people say it's hard to make a commitment every day, but Rav Matisyahu Solomon says you have to make a commitment every day. It says, Kavata itim la Torah. Hashem is going to say, you made time every day to eat 3 times. You make time to do things, you have to make time. Make this the time. Make it a time to learn Torah, to learn Daf Yomi. That's the way that you're going to finish Shas. Trust me, Rabbi say. Without the discipline of Daf Yomi, when are you going to open a Masechtas Krisis? When are you going to decide, I'm going to sit down and now learn about the 36 things that get chorus? When are you going to open up a Masechta that the whole Masechta is about an Aveira that's not Negei L'Maisa, like Masechtas Mila or Masechtas Tmura? When are you going to do that? And if you have a choice to learn a Geshmaka Masechta like Sukkah or Megillah or Tanis, why would you open up a hard Masechta like Yavamas? You need a discipline. Daf Yomi is the discipline. On everyone's bucket list should be to finish Shas. The Gedolei Yisrael said the way to do this is through the learning of Daf Yomi. That's the way, that's the discipline that one can have to be able to do this. But brachas is special. In Sifri, in Parshas Ekev, the Sifri is actually the correct pronunciation is Sifrei. In Sifrei, in Parshas Ekev, it says, "Ritzoynecha, is it your will? Shetakir es misha amar v'hoya ha'olam." Is it your will? Do you want to know the Creator? To recognize the Creator? Interesting Sifrei. Do you want to get to know God? Listen to the advice. Limud Haggadah. Learn the Aggadic portions of Shas. Shemitoich kach ater maker es HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You will get to know Hashem umadbik b'drachav, and be able to cleave to His ways. The home of Agadata is Masechtas Brachas. In it we will have Gemaras. Like here's a Gemara you could spend a lifetime on. La'olam yargiz adam yetzer toiv al yetzer hara. The Gemara gives us a mission in life that you should incite, you should draw a battle between the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. That's a mission in life. Laila means this confronts us every day. So a person who gets up in the morning and isn't in the mood to help his wife, that's a battle. The Yetzer Hara says, you have enough problems. Gets up in the morning. He's tired, he's cranky, he's not in the mood to say nice things to his spouse or his spouse. That's a battle. The battle continues throughout the day. You're in the store. This piece of merchandise is not really good for this customer. They won't look good in it. But it's a nice profit. What do? That's a battle. That person really was a little closer to the parking space, but you're late. It's a battle. That's what Brachas is all about. That's one line in Brachas. Brachas is about how to live our life. And through the Agadata of Masechtas Brachas, we get to know our Creator. Now let's say you're here at this share, or you're listening to this share, and you say, I don't know if this share was for me. Rabbi Weiss is preaching to the choir. I love Daf Yomi. It says that Aaron was Oyev es Habriyos u'mekarvan l'Torah. If you learn Daf Yomi, you have to become an ambassador of Daf Yomi. You learn Daf Yomi, but what about your neighbor? You learn Daf Yomi, but what about your children? You have to know, by the way, that when the children see how much it means to you, and they see that you're being Meiser Nefesh, it makes an impression upon them. My son Yaakov, he works in construction, but he says the focus of his day is his daf in the night. He says he lives for the daf. That's because he saw me go in a Hummer to say share in 3 feet of snow. It's written, "V'limadatem ha'isam," you should teach them defective without a vav. The Chofetz Chaim says, "V'limadatem atem." If you learn, that's the best way to fulfill v'limadatem ha'isam. That's the best way to teach them. Now, for people that have a Daf Yomi, there are people now that say, I don't need a share anymore. I have TorahAnytime.com, and there's a whole roster of great Magidei Shiurim. First of all, what do I need to have one Rebbe? I like a variety. Every night of the week, I'll listen to a different Maggid Shir. It'll keep me interested. I am a cosmopolitan fellow. I like to learn. And this way I don't have to find parking. I don't have to go out in the cold. I don't even have to be dressed. Yes, 11:30. I don't have to be dressed. I don't have to be dressed. I could just stay in my plush robe, have a hot cocoa, or something maybe even stronger, with my feet up, even some music playing in the background, and I'll learn. I'll learn on my iPad, on my iPhone, on my computer, on my phone, OU app, Kol HaLashon. you're losing out on a lot of things. First of all, the Rambam in Hilchos Deis, Perek Vav, says, Mitzvahs asay lihistabek b'chachamim u'b'talmideyim. It's a mitzvah asay to cleave to the sages and their disciples. When you come out to a shir, you belong to a group. And get close to them in all ways of closeness. The camaraderie of a daf yomi, which a person makes, learning together from 7.5 years every day, is one of the great benefits of daf yomi. And the connection to a Maggid Shir, to a Rav, to a Rabbi, who's Meiser Nefesh and who prepares hours for the shir, is a connection that's one of the best connections in life. And you're not going to get that from an app. You're not going to get that from a shir online. Now, I record my shir online. I put my shir on Kol Lashon. I put my shir on Facebook. First of all, there are many places in the world where people don't have the luxuries that we have. They don't have a shir around the corner. They don't have a shir bus right away. They don't have it. And then there are times when you can't go to a shir. It's always good in Daf Yomi to have a backup. You have to have a backup. You have to be able to say, tonight I have to help my wife at home, or she wants to go out, or there's a chasana that I need to go to. There are exceptions. That's what's special about being a Daf Yomi Maggid Shir. The Maggid Shir has a much more harder job. But there are exceptions. That's why we have these. But it should never replace having a Rebbe and having a chabura of Torah. See, when you're listening at home on an app, and then you're not feeling so well, you fall out, nobody is going to say, where were you? Nobody's going to mun you. There's no escapist. You belong to a chabura. Well, we missed you. Do you know what you missed last night? Ooh, we had such a discussion. Make sure you catch up on it. And then there's not neglecting your Rebbe. I think this is one of, sometimes people want to know, what is it? Why am I learning and I'm not getting much out of it? I don't understand. What happened to the Siyata Dishmaya? So there's a lot of things. First, you have to say Birchas HaTorah with Kavanah. And you have to say, V'hari Avna Hashem Elokeinu es Yivei Sarascha B'finu, that it should be sweet with Kavanah. You have to learn to be Mekayim the mitzvah v'dibarta bam. After you learn, you have to behave when you go home. That's a big yesod. If a person learns, and then because he was sitting an hour, he's fidgety, he goes home and he's jumping with his wife. Then the Rabbi Shalom tells him, sorry, Charlie. Gadol HaTalmud she'atalmud mevia l'dei ma'aseh. If you're not walking the talk, sorry, you're not getting the Zizkai Torah. Remember, I told you, there's a Taisus Arash. The Taisus Arash asks, why is it that the Torah was given in Choshech and Arafel and Ofel? Would that be the backdrop of the Torah that you would choose? Isn't Torah supposed to be Ar? Why was the backdrop of Har Sinai Choshech and Afela? And the Taisus Arash says, because right afterwards they would sin with the Egel Azov. And even though normally Hashem only gives Ba'asher Usham, but when it comes to Torah, if you want to get the Ar Torah, you got to behave. You don't behave, you don't get the Ar Torah. You got to go home and act right. But one of the reasons why some people don't get it is because they neglect their Maggid Shir. Do you know that there are Maggid Shir that are as poor as church mice? And they prepare and they give daf yomis, and the people that come for years don't give them any money? And you look at them and you say, well, I give them a Hanukkah present. I send them nice almanas. Do you know how much time it takes to prepare a hot Gemara Nida? Besides the hour that the Rav spends in giving the share? Why is it that nobody thinks about this? And then people wonder why they're not having Hatzlach in their learning. You should be mispalel for your rebellion. I've mentioned this in the past, that I'm an anikel of the Imrei Eish, Ramei Ash from Eisenstadt. He was probably the greatest Talmud of the Chassam Sofer. I saw in Rav Shmuel David Friedman's Hakdama to his Sefer, B'didi Aviyuvda, that my Elter Zayda, the Imrei Eish, for 30 years davened b'pishat yodayim raglayim. That means he went flat on the floor for the health of his Rebbe, the Chassam Sofer. That's what it says about the Imrei Eish. To daven for a Rebbe. In Al Pleitas Beis Ephraim, and the Gemara says also in Rafa'enu, because Torah is Mateshes Koichon Shel Yisrael. But to daven for a Rebbe. It's late already. I can't believe this. Do you know when this Siyum, the next Siyum is? You won't believe it. In Tov Shin Pei Zayin, the next Siyum falls out on Yom HaMeyuchas. That's Beis Sivan. There's a whole shaila why it's called Yom HaMeyuchas. As I'm saying, it's called Yom HaMeyuchas because from Beis till Yud Beis, it's the only normal day without anything special. And to be normal is a yichus. Others say it's because it's between Reish Chodesh and the Shloshim Mei Hakbala, that's why it's Yom. But the next one will be a big Yom HaMeyuchas. Rabbi say, if you want to have Hatzlach in your learning, include your wife in your celebrations. You make a siyum, take her out to eat. Buy her a piece of jewelry. Tell her, your partner is 50-50. And her sacrifice, because you're not home, or because you can't go with her to a vert, because you don't want to miss the daf for a piece of chocolate. Or that you're not there in the night, maybe to help out. She's getting 50%. Make her your partner. Make her feel it. And that's the way it is. Again, I'm going to ask everybody to please, at least for Masechtas Brachas, please don't be angry at me. Please come at 10:30. I'm going to get here. I'm going to finish earlier there and get here by 10:30. And I invite all of you to join me. I hope, even if you can't come always, if you'll come to start with me Sunday night. There's a big crowd. More people will come at 11:53. New to Gavin, or right around the corner from Shemesh Shabbos this Sunday, 9:15 is Marv, 9:30 is Share. Please come and join us. There will be an email available of the daf if anybody wants to get a nightly email. I'm going to work it out, 718-916-3100, 718-916-3100. We need a sponsor for next week. Rav Chananya ben Akash Amar, Ratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Zaka Yisrael Yisrael, Lafika Chir B'Lem Torah Mitzvah Shenem Adinoi Chafetz L'man Tzidkoi Yagdul Torah V'Yadir.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.